Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome back to the third round action of the Danish Darts Open, brought to you by the Professional Darts Corporation and coming to you from the amazing Copenhagen. Time to meet our players, ladies and gentlemen, from Stoke-on-Trent, England, the former two-time back-to-back champion of the world, jackpot, Adrian Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, from St Helens, England, it's time to meet the former champion of the world, the Bullet, Stephen Bunting!
Well, this clash of former world champions will complete one half of the draw in the quarter-final lineup. We know that Peter Wright will face Mensur Suljovic in the opening quarter-final of the evening session. Joe Cullen awaits the winner of this one. It is either Adrian Lewis, the only unseeded player in this half of the draw, or a former Lakeside winner, the Bullet Stephen Bunting. Bunting says he's playing the best darts of his career. Adrian Lewis looks like he is getting back to somewhere near his best. He has rapidly, over the last few weeks, become one of the most exciting players to watch in world darts again after, let's be honest, a number of months where he's been nowhere near his usual capabilities. But he's enjoying himself, he's playing brilliantly, he is regularly averaging 100, and he's got the fight and the hunger back. And that means that we have a genuinely world-class competitor to enjoy watching this afternoon, and maybe this evening as well. It's a tough one to call. They have had a fair few battles over the years since Bunting made the switch over to the PDC. In fact, his only big stage meeting with Adrian Lewis that he won was in the Premier League 3 years ago. 5-3 to Lewis in the head-to-heads, but Bunting did beat him on the way to his most recent PDC title a couple of years back. An incredible run which saw him beat Lewis, Peter Wright, Andrew Gilding and Michael Van Gerwen in the final. Chris Murphy joins me in the commentary box. It's jackpot and the Bullet for a spot in the quarters.
Yeah, Adrian Lewis had to come through. Incredible affair yesterday against the bully boy Michael Smith. Both players producing that kind of thing on a regular basis. Michael Smith, 4 times he struck 180s in the last couple of legs and still went on to lose the match when Adrian Lewis pounced on 2 missed match darts. But yeah, Lewis exhibited exactly what you were talking about. The fact that he is seemingly returning to his best form, not just yesterday but also in Gibraltar a couple of weeks ago when he reached the final, coming through a very, very tough section of the draw. Perhaps ran out of a little bit of steam in the final against Michael Van Gerwen.
Oh, look, it's a slightly rejigged
97.
Adrian Lewis. He's being a lot more measured in his approach. He's slowed everything right down. Doesn't matter how quickly you throw, as long as you throw well. And Adrian Lewis has been throwing very, very well right the way through 2018.
Well, this was the match-winning shot last night.
No need to go the 14s route here. So we can look at the 8s to the 16s. Now single 16 leaves tops.
44.
Reaction suggests he wasn't going for the 8 segment.
Solid start, however, from the two-time world champion.
60. Adrian Uruguay 40.
Looking at tops to take the lead. That won't hinder him. That might help him.
No
But it hasn't.
Steve Uruguay 116.
Not going to get a dart for the leg in this visit.
100.
But he will leave himself on double 8. But Adrian Lewis, you shouldn't really let him have 3 goes at tops, let alone 6.
Gary shot on the first leg. Adrian Lewis. Second leg, it's Stephen to throw first. Game on.
Both big football fans, these two, so they'll be keen to get this one quickly and go back and watch the rest of the England game. Stephen Bunting, big Liverpool fan. Adrian Lewis is a youngster. He was on the books at Stoke. He was a goalie. He's even got a DIY tattoo of the Stoke crest on his ankle, which he did basically with some Indian ink and a needle, I think. It's not very good.
108.
But he's very good at darts.
He's very, very good at darts. He's one of the best ever.
Back-to-back legs started with maximums from Adrian Lewis. That final in Gibraltar was his 4th of the year, by the way.
108.
Bunting responds in kind. Prize for Gary Anderson to return to the European Tour. Missed in Denmark, and wonders if he will make a return next year. But yeah, 4 finals this year for Adrian Lewis. Defeats at the hands of MVG, Rob Cross, Michael Smith, and Mickey Mansell.
47.
In the Players' Championship series of events, these two have hit a grand total of 264 180s between them. They're both
140.
in the top 6 in terms of the number of maximums hit. You can expect a fair few in this game.
Already have had a fair few. And I was just lumping in a final from last year there. All the 3 that he's competed in this year are the defeats to the 3 Mikes. Adrian Lewis to take total control early on.
15.
Adrian Lewis doing that thing where you think he wants tops and then he decides to leave double 16. He'll probably switch back at some point, and he just doesn't. He doesn't seem to have it set in his mind which he's best off leaving.
Yeah, no preference at the moment. But in the first couple of legs, he's been allowed to miss darts or double.
32.
Stephen Bunting has been seemingly a throw behind so far in this match. And that's allowed Adrian Lewis to coast into a 2-leg lead.
Game on.
Well, Adrian Lewis winning legs as quick as England are scoring goals, it seems, Dan, in the football.
Well, almost.
80.
Peter Jakes was Bunting's opponent yesterday. Jakes can always be relied upon to give a stern examination to the top players in the world.
100.
But Bunting did manage to win it. He only threw a 90-odd average, a 90.5 pretty much. Nowhere near his best stuff.
$58.
Going to have to ramp it up if he is going to go on a run today.
96.
There was a spell when Adrian Lewis wasn't even using the darts that had been specially made for him. He was using Barney darts for a little while. He just didn't seem to have any real idea about what he needed to do to get back to his best. Well, it seemed the best thing to do was to just go and play all the events, because it's helped turn him into this absolute machine that we're seeing in action this weekend and have done for the last few weeks. Back-to-back finals on the Pro Tour. Admittedly, as you mentioned, he was beaten in both of those finals by Michael Smith and Mickey Mansell. Lost that one to Michael van Gerwen in Gibraltar.
43.
But he was there and very, very close to winning one of those against Mickey Mansell.
Who's threatening to become a seed for the World Match Play, which might have many people thought was out of sight at the start of the year when he was ranked in the mid-20s in the world rankings. In fact, he could even end up being higher up than the 16th seed.
That'd probably do him a favour, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the 100 bracket, of course, would mean in the second round 16 would meet number 1, and we all know who that is. Has beaten Michael van Gerwen on the Winter Garden stage before, of course.
90.
The game could turn here.
Stephen Uruguay, 64.
Bunting is looking at 64 to break.
$24. Adrian Uruguay,
Well, that could be the chance that got away. Because Adrian Lewis needs double 10 to get away from Stephen Bunting. Can't find it. The chance comes back.
Uruguay, 40.
Double 10 is not missed by Bunting.
Well, they get Stephen to throw first.
Usually feel quite confident double 10 with Bunting. You'll see where he stood on the oche. It's way, way over to the right-hand side. In fact, Adrian's going to have to go on quite a detour when he goes and picks his darts up to go around Stephen Bunting.
123.
You only get a slight worry about Bunting's doubles around the double 16, double 8 area because he's so far away. That one, I think that just caught the flight, took the pace out of it and didn't stick in the board. I don't think it's an issue with the board or anything there.
Interesting analysis from Michael Smith on social media about the end of that match against Adrian Lewis yesterday, speaking about a dart being rejected from the board because he had 61 to win, Michael Smith, and went the 25 route for double 18, not his usual MO.
57.
Yeah, usually a treble 7 for double top man. He did get the 2 match darts that he needed, but double 18 and double 9 failed him, just as they failed him at the World Championship against Rob Cross, and we'd be looking at a very different darting landscape had he taken out that check out to beat Rob Cross in the second round.
97.
No doubt that he prefers tops and 10s, and actually prefers double 10 even more, to the extent that when he's on 50 he'll go for the treble 10 to leave that double. Well, that's a bit of bad fortune this time for Adrian Lewis.
He's had a couple fall out. He's had that one.
$100.
Well, let's see if he can just fill it up normally this time.
140.
Well, he's able to see the funny side, Adrian Lewis. I'm not sure this will amuse him if it goes. He can still do it, but he can't anymore.
48.
Well, a big target to aim at here, and Adrian Lewis, with no preference of which double he hits, can just aim in the middle of the treble 16 and treble 8s. Gets it in the middle of the treble 8.
Game shot on the fourth there.
And then lands a double top.
Did like his agent to throw first.
And it's looking pretty comfortable, even though he's not the seeded player, Adrian Lewis. Looking every inch the better player in this match.
Game on.
He may not be a seeded player, but with his form of late, you just you can't help but feel it matters absolutely nothing, does it? He's playing like one of the best players in the world and has been for a number of weeks. And the attitude is what's really impressed me over the last few weeks. At the start of the year, he looked and was acting as if he was under pressure and feeling the pressure. Obviously, everybody was talking about him not being in the Premier League for the first time in a number of years. Outside of the top 16, not in the Masters, for example. This is all big money that Adrian Lewis was missing out on. And not only that, but opportunities to get back playing and get back to where he was. So he's had to go and do it the hard way. He's had to go and do it as an unseeded player in these. Not one of the top seeds in the Pro Tour events in Barnsley and Wigan and Milton Keynes. And yet he's been taking out all his rivals time after time to work his way up. And it is like watching, it's like watching a Rocky film. It's fantastic.
Well, it can quickly turn as well. The fact that he was perhaps under pressure, he might, in terms of the way the ranking system is with a 2-year order of merit, you can almost start to feel he's on a bit of a free roll, having had a couple of bad years, and he will naturally progress back up the rankings if he continues playing at a decent level.
Well, the big thing is, as a former European champion, well, one of the big things, a former European champion who hasn't even been at the European Championships for the last 2 years, that is a tournament where if you win it, as Adrian has done before, you're picking up £100,000. Now, he's going to be there for the first time in a while, Adrian Lewis. Just on what he's done already, let alone what he's going to go on and do in the remaining Euro Tour events of the year.
Well, he's coming back here with 80 points required. Take a 4-1 lead.
Another 20 and doesn't want to catch the flight there. Dangerous position for that dart. Avoids it. But doesn't avoid that second dart when going for double top.
129.
So the tricky equation in front of Stephen Bunting. Looking down for treble 19. Can't find it, but he's still got a possible out. Bullseye for the Bullocks. Brilliant from Bunting.
Is that a tide turner?
Game on.
Just to quickly return to that point about the European Championship with AD. Say he went on and won it again, which we know he's good enough to do because he has done it before.
57.
Stick 100 grand on Adrian Lewis's ranking right now, and that is with other players losing money from their ranking, the likes of Mensah and Peter Wright and all that lot. Forgetting about that, if you put Adrian Lewis, who's currently on 220 grand, and made that 320
84.
grand, he would leap up to number 7 in the world. And the likes of Mensah, who'd be just above him there, would be seeing tens of £1,000s come off
100
his world ranking.
We've seen it on a slightly smaller scale as Bunting rattles in a match with Simon Whitlock, who we are going to see in action in a couple of games' time, because he was down around the 20th mark in the order of merit after a couple of bad years. And I know Whitlock hadn't lost money from World Championship and major wins, but although he did win the European Championship, it was a lesser prize money then, back in 2012. But he's fallen down the rankings to the high teens and 20s, and he's back now in the world's top 8. Having felt, I've not done anything for 2 years, and he was still, in the top 20. Having felt he was on a free roll, no pressure. And it's natural because, as you said, the ones that have had that good couple of years are losing the prize money too. Now, can Bunting follow up a 129 with something even more special? Well, he can't, but he can leave himself handily placed, and Adrian Lewis now needing a big finish.
43.
Just bat him away, put him back in his box.
Oh, get in the box, Bunting!
Huge on the stick leg, Adrian Lewis. 7 leg is Adrian the group first.
This is why Copenhagen has turned out in force this weekend for the first PDC event in this country, to see the likes of Adrian Lewis firing in world-class stuff like that. And even Bunting has to admit that was good.
Adrian Lewis just hammered that finish in, a real body blow, absolutely ruthless thing to do on the dartboard, and then went back to the table and laughed himself silly in front of Stephen Bunting. Found it hilarious.
180.
Jackpot has ignited.
1-4-3 out, followed by a maximum from the former European
85.
champion, the two-time world champion, and playing like a world beater here at the Danish Darts Open.
$100.
And you just see, he feels like something special is happening. Adrian Lewis is a man who has hit 9 darters. He hit 9 darter in a World Championship final. He's hit him in the Premier League. He's hit him all over the place in front of the biggest crowds and in the biggest tournaments in the world.
Well, 2 years in a row, Adrian Lewis hit 9 darters in the Premier League, and the first year he was left out, we didn't get one. I think my favourite 9 darter of Adrian Lewis was in the European Championship against Raymond van Barneveld, just for the celebration where he kind of just shrugged it off.
Yeah.
140. Adrian
I think he's enjoying himself as well, Adrian Lewis.
That's it, the attitude is just spot on. And he was always, in his rise, Adrian Lewis, he was always, you know, just a
50.
big daft lump from Stoke. That's how he sold himself.
36.
Just enjoying the game he loves and becoming famous and rich and all sorts.
Yeah, but alongside that, he had this belief that he was the best in the
96.
world. And maybe that's
Adrian
starting to
Lewis,
return. He's
111.
one of.
He was epitomised everything brilliant about this game. Normal people doing extraordinary things. He can't quite pull off another ton plus check out, and Bunting might well break here.
Yeah, it would have been 3 in a row in the match. 1-2-9 from Bunting.
Shot the 7 leg.
1-4-3 from Lewis.
I think it's Stephen to throw
Well, that
first.
start, a double top,
Game on.
could be just as important as either of those.
$81.
Well, only really that one scrappy leg, the third, where Adrian made a mess of a 56 check out. And Bunting was mucking about
100.
himself. But everything else has been very, very neat and tidy.
Yeah, Stephen Bunting is another man enjoying a kind of resurgence. This is someone who thought about packing the game in
140.
after a spell in the darting doldrums. And again, it must be very, very hard, and it's something that both of these players have had to put up with, of having been in events and then no longer being in events, having to watch the World Series from home, watch the Premier League from home.
Right.
Adrian Lewis, another one for him was the World Cup, wasn't it, this year?
134.
Well, he's a 4-time winner of the World Cup, but not in the top 2. He's not even number 1 in Stoke at the minute. That's the Diamond D in white.
92. Steve Wild 146.
Bunting here with half a dozen darts to level up this tie. And it hasn't been level
130.
at any point.
Pretty decent setup shot there from the bullet. 130 to leave double 8. He's just fired in a 13 darter. And he may be about to put in another one.
85.
And look, I know we've been singing the praises of Adrian Lewis, and quite rightly so throughout this game. But Stephen Bunting is a world-class player.
Adrian to throw first. Game on.
And he has come back into form this year.
Well, he's taken a different approach, hasn't he? He's been seeing a sports psychologist, working hard on the mental side, someone who is self-admittedly
83.
enjoying it again when he was turning up to events, kind of wondering at what point will I get beat today. He's now thinking, I could win this.
Well, I think you've seen 2 guys who've struggled for very different reasons. Bunting with the mental side of things, obviously. He's had to do work to address it. Lewis with the physical side of things more than ever, because he obviously had that injury. He had surgery on his lower back for a while. But I don't think he ever lost that belief, and that's why he felt kind of aggrieved that he wasn't put in the Premier League. He's changed his tune now and saying, I think it's the best thing that could have happened because it's made me get back and put the graft in and do the hard yards.
100.
Well, something more rewarding about having to work for things and being handed them on a plate, isn't there? And the Premier League selection this year did leave out a couple of names that had become synonymous with the tournament
140.
and allowed the chance of players who had earned it over the last year. And they didn't disappoint. Michael Smith reached the final.
Certainly, with the retirement of Phil Taylor, there has been an
81.
element of a changing of the guard, but some of the old guard are not done yet by a long shot. Bullseye here. Oh, he's on the 14s route for tops. Very nearly a 1-4-2 to add to the 1-4-3.
We could yet see a dramatic climax to this contest. Not sure it will be as dramatic as Adrian Lewis's match yesterday.
He's had a look at Bunting's score.
He doesn't want to go for double five.
He's worried about missing inside.
And
that's why that first start was so high, almost to the point of it being wasted. But the last start saves him. He is a leg away, Adrian Lewis. He was a leg away against Michael Smith, and Michael Smith just went berserk and very nearly turned it around. Bunting,
60.
There's no other option but to go berserk, and a 60 is not berserk enough. Bullet.
The low dart means Adrian Lewis will need to switch.
58.
He hasn't punished the early slip from Stephen. Quite the contrast to the match when it reached this stage yesterday for Adrian Lewis. No trebles in the first two visits for Stephen Bunting. Adrian Lewis hit 2, but only 1 will count.
80.
And it's happened again for Adrian, and I'm not quite sure. I think he probably just clipped a wire because it seemed to bounce out of the board, that one. He has been a little bit unlucky. I suppose with Adrian, his darts do kick up so much, and they do go in at a steeper angle than a lot of players, that if you do catch a wide, you've perhaps got a look at that.
There are many factors. Sometimes there are dead spots in dartboard. Sometimes it's simply that your points aren't quite sharp enough.
Yeah. They were thrown with authority and weren't going anywhere. He has stolen the darts in this leg. Adrian Lewis would love to get the win under his belt without another stressful last leg decider.
A hassle-free finish, please. That's not what we want, of course. That's not what the crowd here in Copenhagen want.
58.
But there might be some fireworks yet, because Adrian Lewis has left 170.
Well, he took out 143. He very nearly took out 142. Wow, says Stephen Bunting.
84. Agent Uruguay 170.
That is distinctly less than wow result from that visit. Adrian Lewis, he's a showman. Well, he won't take out the 170 here to win the match.
Superb switching.
128.
Leaves him on the brink of a place in the quarterfinals for the second consecutive European. Just look at his European Tour form this year. The progression in that alone has been a guide to how his form has picked up.
42.
Wasn't reaching the latter stages early on, having qualified for the majority of tournaments. Did have to pull out of one, but he reached a final last week, and he's reached a quarterfinal here in Copenhagen. Adrian Lewis through to the last 8 of the Danish Darts Open after seeing off Stephen Bunting, and he will take on Joe Cullen tonight, and he might well go on and reach a final, or even do better than that? That remains to be seen. We'll be back in a few moments' time with another world champion on that stage as Rob Cross takes on Mervyn King. But is this going to be the weekend when Adrian Lewis, after over a year without a title, finally hits the jackpot? We'll find out here in Denmark. Let's catch a quick word with the winner of that match. Adrian Lewis beats Stephen Bunting 6-4.
Adrian, congratulations. Another game, another top-class performance from you.
It had to be. I thought Stephen was brilliant. I really did. I thought, you know, the 1-2-9 he took out, I thought, let's get his game over. And then, yeah, fair play to him. It's nice seeing him back as well, you know what I mean? Top man he is. One of the nicest blokes I'll ever meet.
He certainly is. The whole game was played in a good spirit. You managed to take out a heartbreaking 1-4-3 checkout, and then you laughed about it in his face.
Yeah, no, what it was is, I said, I owed you that one for the 1-2-9 the previous. And he goes, yeah, and he called me a certain name, but I can't say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Lewis through to the quarter-finals of the Danish Darts Open. The two-time world champion in title-winning form again. Could he claim the title this evening?